Good morning, colleagues, honorable members. The time is just 2 minutes after 9. Our meeting is scheduled for 9. May I just check, Ms. Moy, do we have a quorum to start?
Good morning, Chairperson. Yes, Chairperson, we do have a quorum. We can start the meeting.
Ms. Moy?
Can you hear me, Chairperson?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Good morning, Chairperson. Yes, Chairperson, we do have a quorum. You may start the meeting.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome again, honorable members and everybody joining us in the meeting. Our meeting today, as outlined in the agenda, has to attend to those items on the agenda. Let's start, Ms. Moy, if we have any apologies.
Thank you, Chairperson. No, Chairperson, there are no apologies.
Okay, thank you. The items on the agenda, colleagues, is the consideration of the adoption of the work we did last Friday of those 3 entities. And thereafter, once we're done with that discussion, we get into to consider a 3 sets of minutes and conclude our meeting with the States SA Amendment Bill that would have been referred to us so that we start that process of the Advert. And that would also have been sent to you. So thank you very much. May we then proceed? Is there any member adopting our agenda as it stands? Honorable Pillay.
Chairperson, I move for the adoption.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. Any seconder? Any seconder for the adoption of the agenda as outlined?
Honorable Mani has raised his hand, Chairperson.
Honorable Mani.
Thank you, Chairperson. I wanted to propose a rearrangement because the PRR is informed by the minutes. So I think it makes sense that we deal with the minutes first, those 3 sets of minutes, in particular the 13th October minutes, because that PRR is informed by what happened in there. So I think the order is incorrect.
Thank you, Honorable Mani. That's the normal approach that we follow, and you're suggesting that we do otherwise. I'll have to check with other members, but we follow that process all the time in our meetings. Members, there's been a proposal for adoption of the agenda. There's no secondment. There's a different suggestion. Honorable Phiri. Honorable Phiri.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning to all members in the platform and the delegation from the department. Chair, I have a bit of a weak network, but I believe I'm audible.
You are audible.
Chair, I want to differ slightly with Honorable Mani based on the fact that normal procedure.
Let's start. There's been a proposal for adoption of the agenda as it is. There's no secondment. You have to start there, and then I'll allow you to go to other points.
I want to adopt the agenda as it is, and I want to also differ slightly with Honorable Mani because normally we that's how we do our meetings, and later we adopt a set of the minutes. And where there is rectifications or amendment, we'll do so, Chair. Thank
Thank you, Honorable Piri. Is there any other dissenting view, colleagues? The agenda has been seconded to be adopted as it stands. There would have been a view to do it differently, but there's an objection to that view. Without wasting time, may we proceed, colleagues, because we're going to attend to all of these items in any way. May we proceed with our agenda by getting a presentation of our draft report of what we did last Friday, the BRRR report. If there's no objection to that, I'm going to ask the Secretary to take us through that. Who's taking us through the draft report?
Is me, Chairperson?
Go ahead, Mr. Mwebe.
Okay, good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, honorable members. My name is Julius Mwebe. I will be presenting both reports for DPME that encompasses Brand SA and then Stats SA. But I would like to start with the DPME, Honorable Chairperson.
Go ahead.
Okay. I hope members can be able to see my screen. Okay, Chairperson, I will just go page by page if you allow me, and then when we get to the observation of the observation and the recommendations together maybe with the conclusion, then that's when then I can just go bullet by bullet. Page by page is just to allow members if they've noted any typing error or a correction or something like that, if you allow me, Chairperson, but I'll just move a bit fast because the gist of the document, I mean the gist of of this document is on the observation and recommendations. If you allow me, Chairperson.
Yes, please proceed.
Okay. Okay, on page 1. Okay, the other thing, Chair, that I would like to emphasize to members is that as we know that there was some reconfiguration with regard to the ministries. Brand SA currently falls under Minister in the Presidency, no longer falling under DPME, but we have included it in this vote because of in the past financial year it was reporting under DPME, not under a Ministry of in the Presidency. So just to highlight that to honorable members. Page 1. And page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10.
Recording in progress.
Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. page 16, page 17, page 18. And then through you, Chairperson, then I will just read bullet by bullet, and then so that members, if they agree, or I will just go through the observation. If there's anything through you, Chairperson, if you allow me to do that, then they will raise their hands if there's anything.
Yes, please go ahead. And when members come in, I'm going to ask them if they've picked up any corrections and if they agree with what you would be taking us through. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, the 9.1, Chair and Honorable Members, we said that the Portfolio Committee knows and commends the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation for achieving the 10th clean audit outcome in consecutive years, and furthermore for having achieved 95% of its set targets in actually should be in 2022, 2023, so for that financial year. And the committee further knows the Auditor General commented that the overall audit outcomes for the department has improved from the prior year. That's what the Auditor General have raised. And the improvement was largely driven by the improvement at Brent South Africa. So based on what Brent South Africa has achieved, I think they've achieved clean audit. So that also add to what the sector has improved in terms of the audit outcomes. 9.2, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, the committee take notes from the AG that the annual financial statement submitted by the DPME and Stats SA did not contain material misstatements. And the committee would like to commend the leadership of the department and Brent SA for exercising good financial management discipline throughout the 2022-2023 financial year. And the status quo of the good financial management discipline has to be maintained over the years. So just to encourage the department to maintain the clean audit. 9.3, improvements in the overall quality of draft annual performance plans submitted by government departments to the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation for review and alignment process was welcomed by the committee. And the committee notes remarks by the AG that the department does not have legislative powers to enforce the implementation of recommendations made in the strategic plans and APP's review processes. And the department has to move with speed to address the matter. 9.4, the signing of the performance agreement of the heads of departments in both national and provincial governments has been noted, and concern about acting director generals or heads of departments are not required to complete and submit performance agreements and performance assessment as per the current guidelines would have to be addressed by both Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation and the Department of Public Service and Administration. And there is no consequences management for departments with acting DG or HOD without submission of performance reports. 9.5, the committee knows that during 2023-2024, the department will continue to engage with the relevant departments that have outputs and output indicators and annual targets in the implementation plan for the policy framework for integrated planning. This is to ensure that these outputs are implemented through the annual performance plans or an annual operational plans of institutions. A project plan is currently being finalized to facilitate in-year implementation of the implementation plan and to monitor progress. And the committee is concerned with the delays in tabling the Integrated Development Framework Bill, which aims to strengthen coherence and harmonization across the planning ecosystem of government. 9.6, the department has revised a draft integrated planning framework and renamed it the National Development Planning Bill in 2022, which aims to provide a framework for a coherent and synthesized national development planning system involving the 3 spheres of government. And the committee is concerned that the bill has not been tabled in Parliament. 9.7, the department is charged with the responsibility of developing, reviewing, monitoring, and evaluating the National Development Plan And the department further assists government in developing the medium-term strategic frameworks and mandate paper to guide departments in focusing on the national priorities. And the committee knows that the department will continue to work with sector to embed a results-based approach and improve alignment with the NDP and medium-term strategic framework through the standardization of indicators for sectors with coherent function. The concern is that 2030 is fast approaching, yet there are still goals that have not been achieved. 9.8, the committee expressed concern regarding the monitoring approach of the NDP and MTSF of government. The department performance targets and budget have to be more focused around performance monitoring of the NDP and MTSF of government by developing indicators in each NDP chapter. The department has to appraise national and national legislation on how government departments are implementing the National Development Plan as well as the medium-term strategic framework and highlight red flags on performance. The 9.9, there is a concern about the department not publishing and tabling monitoring and evaluation reports to the national and provincial legislature to provoke debates and accountability on the evidence-based monitoring and evaluation reports in relation to the implementation of the NDP. Legislative committees will be empowered when the department publicized and tabled its report in Parliament and legislatures. This approach would empower Parliament and provincial legislatures on the performance of NDP and for the reviewing purposes thereof. 9.10, the committee welcomes the development of digitizing standardized indicators for the ease of efficient reporting and monitoring purposes. And 9.11, the committee is concerned that the department fails to implement the Auditor General recommendation towards the achievement of MTSF targets. 9.12, considering the Auditor General's audit outcomes report, the committee is concerned that the department is not working with the Department of Public Service and Administration to enhance performance management process of DGs and HODs in the public service. And then with regard to Brent, South Africa.
Thank you. Pause there.
Okay.
That completes DPME.
Yeah, observation for the DPME.
Because I want us to take the reports one by one. So can you go, are there any recommendations on DPME?
Yeah, okay, let me go to the recommendation, Chair. With regard to the recommendation, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, the committee recommends the following for the department. 10.1, the department should speed up the development of the legislation that would empower it to enforce the implementation of recommendations made in the strategic plans and annual performance plans. And with regards to 10.2, in the absence of the legislation, the department should develop procedure of submitting strategic plans and annual performance plans, which includes giving the departments quality assurance certificates prior to tabling such to Parliament and provincial legislatures. And quality assurance certificates should guarantee that strategic plans and APPs are aligned with government priorities. And 10.3, the department, together with the Department of Public Service and together with Public Service and administration, should be administration and administration. And administration should review the policy on performance management development system for the DGs and HODs in the public service. As per the Auditor General recommendations, both departments should review matters identified in the PMDS policy, such as weight given on key responsibility areas and acting DGs and HODs to be included in the PMDS for performance measurement, especially when acting for more than 6 months. Accountability is not shared where the acting person performs in the vacancy, but in the absence of the equipment because they are on leave or sick leave. With regard to 10.4, the department should develop a strategy to persuade all stakeholders across 3 spheres of government to rally behind the Integrated Development Framework Bill, which aims to strengthen coherence and harmonization across the planning ecosystem of government. And 10.5, the department should fast-track the finalization of the National Development Planning Bill, which will provide legislative power to hold other departments accountable regarding the coherent planning, monitoring, and evaluation. And then 10.6, the department should appraise both national and provincial legislation, including organs of state, on how government departments are implementing the national development as well as the medium-term strategic framework, and highlight the red flags on performance. 2030 is fast approaching for the objectives to be realized. 10.7, the department should publish and table planning instruments, monitoring and evaluation reports to the national and provincial legislature to provoke debates and accountability on the evidence-based monitoring and evaluation reports in relation to the implementation of the NDP. 10.8, the department should implement the Auditor General's recommendations that the achievement of medium-term strategic framework targets have to be closely monitored. That's it, Chairperson.
Thank you. On that, may I invite members on the DPME to make your comments if there's any clarity, correction, or your general comment on that before we go to the next one. And at the end, I'm going to ask if that report is supported. Are there any members who wants to comment on that? Honorable McGlue, followed by Honorable Manyi.
Chair, can we perhaps go to 10.5 again?
10.5 of the recommendations, né?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Let's go there. There you are, Honorable McGlue.
Yes, it says the department should fast track the finalization of the National Development Planning Bill. I'm not too sure. I'm just asking, and you must guide us as to whether we are able to put a time frame. That is the first issue that I want to raise. Then the second issue I want to raise also for us or consideration, and we also need your guidance, Chairperson, as to the Brand South Africa's work pertaining to promoting sport and everything. You will remember that I mentioned the issue of their role in the World Cup pertaining to the rugby. Their response was met with silence by this committee. And perhaps I think for us as a committee to prevent this in future, I mean, it was a year, last year and this year was the World Cup. Nothing has been done except that we have a representative at the World Cup of Brand South Africa. I feel that as a country, as a committee, and as Brand South Africa, I think something must have or should have been done pertaining to the World Cup in terms of branding et al. The other thing also, Chair, is the question around the relaxing of tabling the bill pertaining to doping. Is there any way that we can factor this in and perhaps also, I don't know to what extent, make such recommendation to the sport? I don't know what the process is pertaining to that bill that is also supposed to be tabled. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable McGlue. I've noted both your points on Brand SA. We'll park them. We'll do Brand SA immediately, but you've raised an important point on 10.5. Which you want to check if we should not be indicating some time frames. We've noted that. Let me hear other members. Honorable Manyi.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Can I request that we scroll back to 9.3?
Thank you. 9.3, Mr. Ngwepe.
Okay, the very first sentence there, I'm not so sure if it accurately reflects the deliberations of the committee. If we say improvements in the overall quality of draft annual performance plan submitted by government departments to the Department of DPME for review was welcomed. I mean, how did we even come to this conclusion ourselves? If this is, I mean, I think these words are put into our mouths here. For this committee to make this kind of a comment, it would mean the committee would have gone through all those reports. And how else can you come to this conclusion without having seen these reports? So I think the formulation of this is just too optimistic. There's not something not right here. It's actually not correct. We can't say the committee has said anything about the overall quality without evidence that the committee applied its mind on the on these APPs of other departments, as it were. So I don't think that that is correct. I don't know how you want to phrase it, but in this current formulation, I think it's too optimistic. So that's the first point. And then so I'm asking for a better phrasing of this thing. I don't know what exactly wanted to say, but what is here is incorrect. 9.7. Will you check? Can you go to 9.7? Okay, on 9.7, just the last sentence. The concern is that 2030 is fast approaching, yet there are still goals that have not been achieved. On NDP, Chairperson, it's fact that absolutely nothing has been achieved. So I think this is a misrepresentation here to make a statement as if some goals have not been achieved, as if there's one that has been achieved. And I challenge the department that if they have one that has been achieved, please prove me wrong here and now, or that sentence must be rephrased. There's absolutely nothing that has been achieved on NDP. So I don't think we should, what's the right way? We should work some lyric on this thing and pretend as if something has happened in terms of achievement of goals, when we know for a fact that absolutely nothing, not one of those. And I say, if I'm wrong, can the department give me one example? Otherwise, I'm challenging that formulation on 9.7 is incorrect. And then check and go to 10.1. On 10.1, I note the recommendation that is there. I wanted to propose, now that these are recommendations, that I think, look, what I mean, if this is what we're going to wait for, I'm telling you, even the 7th administration will finish without anything really happening in this space of the power for the department to do whatever. So I was going to recommend here that this must be perhaps a medium-term goal, but in the immediate, I think the committee should be recommending that DPME should use cabinet as the enforcer, as it were, because nothing stops a DPME minister to take her report to cabinet and say, cabinet, I need your power to make sure that this happens. So they are all sitting there in cabinet as a collective, surely in the interest of delivering services. We can't be waiting for laws or things that are right to happen. If DPME has come back with an objective process, objective recommendations, cabinet should be able to enforce those recommendations. So I'm recommending here, Chair, that I think in the immediate term, the DPME must submit all of its recommendations that require enforcement and request cabinet to be the enforcer up until we have that legislation. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't even think we need this legislation. I think cabinet should be enough to do this. So that's my recommendation, Chair. I think there has to be a serious and immediate cabinet involvement here. We can't be waiting for laws to do what is right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Manyi. Your points have been noted. Honorable Phiri, followed by Honorable Tobias.
Thank you, Chair. Let me just shoot straight, but make this remark that, Chair, remember, even though it's a new portfolio from on the side of Parliament, but all these other issues, they were dealt in public service, meaning even though they are recommendation to say a portfolio, they emanate from other committees that were dealing with monitoring and evaluation. So, Chair, mine on the department is that I'm not going to go with the slides. I'm just going to give my recommendations and input as I've made my notes. I'm not going to go and say, go to these slides and other slides. So, meaning the Secretariat must listen attentively. I'm saying they should expedite its recruitment processes, Chair. There's no way you'll have a proper monitoring and evaluation where you are running short of a staff, people who must do that. They should also elevate the matter which relates to the quality of annual performance plan and the alignment of APPs and MTSF target to cabinet. We need that alignment. We've been raising it in different portfolios that there's no alignment, Chair. And the quality of the annual performance does not even align with what is being raised on the MTSF, and sometimes even with the SONA when the president speaks to it. So the department, they don't implement what has been raised. So I'm bringing the recommendation to say it must be elevated, this matter, in relation to the quality, and also be aligned to the APPs. Thirdly, Chair, the Treasury to increase funding of the department in order to build research and development and modeling of the capabilities of this department. There's no way we need more money to deal with a lot of issues that are facing us. So that's my other recommendation. And the department also must work with the AG, the Treasury, and Stats SA to develop an effective outcome indicator development framework and capacitate the government planning system. I also think it's more important. There's no way they can work in silos without the AG, Treasury, States SA to capacitate the government planning system. They must also, as a department, Chair, focus on developing sufficient institutional capacity for planning commission. And we should also assist the department because we need the bill. It cannot be taken to cabinet only, and we don't have something that enforces the minister to have powers. It can be taken to cabinet and they discuss. There's no enforcement. This bill must be expedited. We need it. It must come to this portfolio and we finalize it. We should make it mandatory and require the department and its entities to submit operational plan with the APP and to enhance the adequate planning. Also, the department should develop a framework that links its performance indicators with the allocated budget for their implementation to enhance monitoring and evaluation. Chair, if I'm not audible enough or the Secretariat did not capture what I've said, I'm happy and willing to submit my notes. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Piri. Honorable Tobias. Honorable Tobias, are you there?
She's the one that just finished speaking, Chair. You must now move to Honorable Piri.
Hayi mani, awuyazi ivoice yami. Mina ngikhulumile
Honorable
already.
Tobias. Honorable Tobias, are you there? Okay. We'll skip that for now. Quickly, members, so that we also help Mr. Ngwepe. I'm sure it will be better in the next report. We do section by section so that you don't miss out and having to come back. I think that would have been my weakness there as a chair. Let's start. I think.
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Thanks. I'm sorry, Chair. In the Cape Town house, I hardly have signal. So I don't know if you can hear me clearly. I wanted to make comments. First, I was covered by Mrs. Piri when she spoke about alignment. I think there's the way that we can make a recommendation as committees of parliament without stepping into the shoes of the executive in terms of what we can recommend about policies. One of them is about how we deal with our own oversight responsibility over departments and whether they are able to achieve their targets or not. And as this committee, we become a key committee that can be able to evaluate the work of government departments through DPME. Now, one of them, it's about the issue that has been raised by the whip to say that even if this newly established committee was not in place, indeed, APPs were looked upon by other committees and have dealt with them. But the issue is, have they adequately dealt with them? And into the new fiscal year, we'll be able to evaluate whether such has been implemented. Secondly, it will be difficult to project whether there's the issue of the development plan has been implemented or not if a presentation has been made on the targets. Because we even measure the targets, unless if Honorable Mani is saying that in terms of the targets that has been measured, no single target was mentioned in the quarterly reports, then it will not be true, the statement he makes. So we need to be very clear about what we're talking about so that we don't generalize and say they did not achieve, because achievements are based on what the targets that are clearly presented to committees, and you are able to measure whether they were able to achieve 30%, 40% or not. And if you are saying it's zero will be reported, because the reporting mechanism doesn't allow you to hide what you were able to achieve and what you were not able to achieve. The quarterly report is a true reflection of the action plans themselves and the APPs that were presented and strategic plan. Thirdly, and take this with a pinch of salt because I was conflicted because I was the chairperson of Brand South Africa Board. I agree with the Honorable McGlue.
Yes,
on that
one, Honorable Tobias, just hold back. You'll come back when we deal with Brand SA.
Okay. I just pray my network. This house is bad, so I hope I don't lose you.
We hear you.
I'll keep on reporting. Yeah, I'll keep on reporting when I lose network.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Tobias. Now, thank you for these contributions, members. Maybe just to, if you're with us, Mr. Ngwepe, and I'll try and we do it quickly, do this section by section. But Honorable Piri, as I hope you have noted, her issues she raised, which are not in the paragraphs about the expediting of the recruitment process and the issues of collaborations that she has raised. I now want you to go back to 9.3 so that we just do it systematically and move from one point to the next. So there's an issue here raised by Honorable Manyi. Let me quickly get first, having listened to that, do you have any comments, Mr. Mwepe, on that?
Yeah, Chair, my point on this one, well, we can sort of rephrase the welcome so that it should not like as if the committee has gone through the APPs.
Sure.
But this was the remarks made by the Auditor General, Honorable Chair. But I think what we can say instead of welcomed, then we can say the committee note.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know if then that
you'll have to be specific and say we note the remarks by the AG so that it's not seen as it was us as a portfolio committee. Okay. Can we do it in that way? Okay. Is that in order, Honorable Manyi?
Excellent, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Then you please fix 0.93 in that way as an amendment. Let's move from that and go to 9.7. Thank you. On this, I think Honorable Piri has also commented. This is a matter started by Honorable Maglu, and basically here he was asking for whether we should speak about the time frames or timelines in this matter. There's already a suggestion. I think Honorable Manyi spoke to that, and as well as Honorable Tobias. So should we, maybe let me hear you first in terms of what we can rephrase here. The issue here is the timelines that we need to get into this. It's clear that between now and March, we might not get to that. Maybe something that says that has to be part of the medium-term plans, and then in the 7th Parliament, we've got to have that. I don't know whether those timelines will be helpful as requested by or suggested by Honorable Maglu. Let me hear you, Mr. Mwepe.
Okay, Chair and honorable members. Not to, I think Honorable Maglu was referring to 10 point. Let me just go. I'll go back to 9.7, Honorable Chair. Because if I had Honorable Maglu very well, not to say you didn't hear him, Chairperson, but I think he was referring to 10.5, where then he was saying we need to put a time frame. I don't know if Honorable Maglu can just clarify that. And then the 9.7, I think it was Honorable Manyi questioning the issue of the NDP not achieving any target on 9.7, Chair. So if I'm correct, if Honorable Maglu can, because he was talking about the bill, that we put the time frame on the National Development Planning Bill.
Thank you. I've mixed them up myself. So maybe let me just on the 9.7 as raised by Honorable Manyi, and Honorable Tobias has also commented. The first thing to say, colleagues, is that we, as part of our program, we also have a plan to have the NDP 10-year review presented to us. That's in the program. It has not come because we want to have a community view on that review. What we have for now are anecdotes, because we don't have that as having come in front of the committee. There's a date in our program for when that will happen, so that it's not just said in passing. We have to make our own and apply our own minds about what will be presented to us as what has been achieved and not achieved. And so the issue here is therefore how we phrase therefore 9.7 and Honorable Tobias had made some contributions in that regard in terms of the key performance areas. So let me hear you, Mr. Mwepe.
Yeah, I think, Chair, without, I totally agree that with you when you are saying we have put this on the program for the I think it's a review on the NDP. Not to say after, because this report has to be adopted now. But what I know is that since the NDP has been developed and the medium-term strategic framework has been the guiding document in each and every term of administration, I think since the NDP has been adopted, so the department were obliged to, even though we're talking about the fragmented planning, even though there was no alignment of some sort, but they were obliged to implement the medium-term strategic framework of the National Development Plan. So over the years, even though I might not say we do have an evidence before us, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, but there has been some implementation. So maybe without saying how we should rephrase it, but we are quite aware that this has been, there was an implementation and the departments have met targets. Yet there might be some targets that were not being met. But for now, the committee, we are talking without any evidence in terms of whether it has been achieved or not been achieved. So, so I don't know, I don't know, Chair or honorable members, how we should rephrase, because it was if you look at the sentence was just open-ended. It was not saying they've achieved, they haven't achieved, but we have acknowledged that they've been achieving targets, but at the same time, there are those targets that are not being met. So I will leave it to members.
Yes. Okay. I think that's a key part. That it's a mixed bag of improvements of implementation in the NDP. Colleagues, can we just contribute to that so that we? I'll ask Honorable Mani and Honorable Tobias to come in.
Yeah, Chairperson, I welcome the what explanation by Mr. Ngwepe. But the issue is one where I'm saying it's almost like now I'm saying, Chairperson, the frame of reference is the NDP. Now, if the NDP itself, because the NDP had all kinds of goals towards 2030, and to see if South Africa is moving in the right plan, those goals had to be achieved by government as a whole. Now, the NDP itself is being reviewed, and we don't have the outcome of that review, so that if we have call it progressive targets of sorts that are based on a reviewed position, maybe the position that maybe the review means targets lowered, whatever it is, then you make sense. But as we sit here and now, in the absence of that reviewed position, we can't be reviewing, we can't be talking about achieving targets that we have lowered to say, okay, now that one is off, okay, we're going to, I mean, this is just a definition of mediocrity. The bottom line here, Chairperson, is that there were NDP goals, and if NDP goals are off the rails, nothing can be on the rails. So my issue here is that let's not come up with some nice story that masks the issue. Let's be truthful about framing the situation as it stands. And the situation as it stands is that NDP is off the rails, and therefore anything measured on NDP consequentially is off the rails up until we have a reviewed NDP. But to be talking about all kinds of other targets and everything else outside the formal targets of the NDP, I think it's dishonest. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mani. Honorable Tobias.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, can you copy me?
Come again?
Chair, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Sister.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Chair, this is a political discussion, and this has got nothing to do, honestly, with the NDP. And we need to be frank with Honorable Manye. You see, the goals of the NDP are very clearly stated, and they were supposed to be achieved by 2030. And the 6 commitments that government has put in terms of the medium strategic framework are based on the NDP. And government departments were given an opportunity to go and implement that. And in their strategic plans, that has informed that. As to whether the APPs in the actual implementation, all of them were achieved, it's an issue for another day. The statement, therefore, that says some were achieved is relevant and remains factually correct. And therefore, we cannot come and say none of those goals has not been achieved, especially to a point that the review itself will be tabled and will demonstrate in factual terms what has been implemented and what has not been implemented. Therefore, I'm not going to be part of a meeting that's going to say none of them have been implemented, because it's just a pure political statement. It's not based on facts that has been on the table. Therefore, that statement remains relevant, that some, because it is up to a point where we have tabled the report, has gone through it, we can arrive at a conclusion that they were not. And I demonstrated that 6 of the commitments that government is implementing, and I'm going to demonstrate one of them, poverty interventions that government has put in place. We can even simplify it by discussing how government provided even funding 350 to further strengthen what government has been doing. I don't know if we have the whole day, Chair. So can I pause there, Chair?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Tobias, for your contribution. Honorable Pillay.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to raise on a point of procedure. We are here because we've had extensive discussions on BRRR. We've received presentations. We have this report. The task at hand is for us to be able to go through it. Where we need to make corrections, amendments, we do that, and then we adopt the report. Now, we are going into discussions that's going to take us another day of discussions before we reach a point of adopting this report. And Chair, I want you to use, to please direct this meeting. Let us just go through the points where there needs to be corrections, we amend, and we need to proceed so that we can be able to adopt. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. I see is that a new hand, Honorable Manye?
Yeah, yes, Chairperson. The point I really want to make here, and I can see that honorable members are becoming emotional. This is not a political issue here. This is a factual issue. And the issue is a very simple one. And the issue is that if we're talking about NDP and achievement of targets, and as I said, that if there's any target that had been achieved, can I please be apprised? Because I'm not aware of any, including even in those APPs. I think we must separate 2 things. We must separate this thing of achievement of goals and some process to begin to implement. And now, if the fact that something is being done, but whatever is being done, it has not met the standard, you can't then therefore say that thing has been done. There's a standard of measuring if what has been done to the required standard. And I'm saying, sitting here now, I know, and I asked to be proved wrong without any information that is concrete that proves wrong, which I know it's not there. We need to formulate this sentence in a manner that reflects the truth. And as it currently stands, it's not reflecting the truth. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. I think Honorable Tobias, is that a new hand? That would be the last hand.
Yes, Chair, it is a new hand.
Sure.
Perhaps the Secretariat was not able to provide proof of what has been dealt with. Let me demonstrate the things that has been dealt with by government as part of those goals. A legislation was put in place to deal with the clean environment issue, which is the carbon tax bill, which was part of the process as a member of parliament. And if you are saying that is not achieved, I don't know what you mean, because we're able to even legislate for that. Today, we are measuring carbon in South Africa. carbon emissions, and that's part of the goals that needed to be looked at. The government was able to canvass more than 1.3 trillion rands to be able to fund government projects. If that is not a demonstration, I don't know what it is. In terms of social protection, today people get 350 rands. It's just but some that I can demonstrate in terms of what has been implemented. A amount of jobs were created in this country. That's why I asked whether we have the day. We can go on and demonstrate to Honorable Manye what this government has done. Comrade Pile would look at the reports and correct where we needed to correct. Therefore, that's why I said the phrasing that some has been achieved remains relevant, Chair. I don't know what else can I say beyond this, Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, no, thank you, Honorable Tobias, for your contribution. I see this. I had asked that it be the last hand, but I'll give you Honorable Piri.
No, thanks, Chair. Maybe I'm upfront. I don't want to be part of that because I think honorable members are educating each other. I wanted to just say to yourself and the Secretariat, I've sent the snapshot of my recommendations so that you must not miss it while you are nearing the end of the presentation, so that they must be included. But Chair, I still stand to say it is important to have a workshop, Chair, because levels and fears of government are different. I might have been in a municipality and think I understand legislation. Here in Parliament, it's something different. But let me submarine, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Piri. Honorable members, we will do it like this so that we step off 9.7. In fact, the entire report, including 9.7, we are reflecting on the report that we have received from the departments. And the department are accounting and recording the work they have done to us as the portfolio committee. And that's in their annual report in terms of their own performance. I've indicated earlier on that this committee has a standalone item and an opportunity that we're going to have where we're going to fully assess the 10-year review of the National Development Plan. And we're going to formulate our own view in that discussion about what we think would have been achieved and not achieved, where gaps are, what still needs to be done as we march to 2030. Because remember, the NDP has not come to an end date. It is in 2030. And so what is being done is the assessment of progress towards that. I would ask us not to want to be emphatic on our own understanding, especially before we have a discussion based on the presentation of a properly formulated 10-year review, which will be anchored on what would have been the objectives, the indicators, and how far progress was in relation to those. That discussion is coming, members. I can see that we'll be very ready for that discussion. You know that next week, Friday, we'll deal with the census report that comes in front of us. Thereafter, it's going to be the NDP. But what we have in front of us is a presentation from the department who are saying this is what our progress is, and this is a report of a one financial year that would have been presented to us, and I think from where I'm sitting as a chair, it would be proper, Mr. Mwepe, that we, without wanting to change what the department is saying, because we'll have to deal with that with facts, and that process is coming, that would have noted their presentation of the progress they have made as the committee, and that the committee is still going to have a further opportunity to assess on its own. the progress of the NDP. It would not be proper now to be emphatic and say, because we'd not even have a discussion about that, to say nothing has happened. We might carry individual views based on our own assessment of the process, but we've got to do that collectively, and that date is coming. Mr. Ngwebe? Step of this.
Yeah, I think, Chairperson, you are correct. I think maybe if honorable members can allow that, well, let's wait for the department to present the review of the NDP. And then I think in that way, then we can even draft a report on the observations of the committee on the review of the NDP. Then members can be able to express their concern in the report that will then go to the National Assembly after the department has presented the review of the NDP.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can we go to 10.1? There was a proposal here. 10.1 says the department should speed up the development of the legislation that would empower it to enforce implementation of recommendations made in strategic plans and annual performance plans. If I were to summarize, members are saying, so that we don't have either this or that, that this, and I suspect, I don't know whether this is where Honorable that's Honorable McGlue was, no, that's the issue of expediting this bill is important, and at the same time there was a strong motivation and proposal, which I don't think should be a train smash, that says whilst that is happening, there is no reason why an interim measure, which could even be there in the end as a permanent measure for both a bill legislation to be in place, but that cabinet must be utilized as an enforcer if they are not doing that. But cabinet must be utilized as an enforcer where departments are not or are failing to include these issues in the strat plans and annual plans. So these are the two, and I think they just go together. I would want us not to see them as binaries. I know Honorable Mani was more strong on even saying there will be no need for legislation. I think there will be a need for legislation, Honorable Mani, so that it should not depend on the willingness or not willingness of cabinet. So that when we assess that this is what legislation is saying, has cabinet responded to that, and has cabinet played a certain appetite to enforce even beyond legislation. Is it fine if those together, colleagues?
You've covered me very well, Chair. You've covered me extremely well, and what Mr. Ngwebe has put in there, I think does it. Sorry to interject like this, but yeah.
No problem. Thank you. Honorable Tobias. Honorable Tobias, is that an old hand or a new hand?
Chair, I hold the view that Honorable Manu was meaning where cabinet must enforce. Chair, do you hear me?
Come again?
Chair,
I didn't hear
Chair,
that.
can you hear me? Network.
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear.
I'm saying Honorable Mani, I think, was meaning well when he says cabinet must enforce. But perhaps
we can't hear you. I think you are fading.
Yeah, the network in there is very bad, Chair. I don't know. I'm trying to move around. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yes, we can
You
hear
still
you now.
hear me, Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying Honorable Mani meant well when he says cabinet must be empowered to do that work. But perhaps we need to look at policy imperatives, because it can't be at the whim of cabinet.
Yes.
To enforce. There should be the laws that empowers either cabinet or DPME or whoever to be able to play an oversight role. So that will need to be tightened up more than just requesting, because is this a request or a directive? It depends on what empowers us to give as a directive or as a recommendation to cabinet. It brings also the separation of powers into place. So as we want to see things happening, that's why I said he meant well, but we need to look at instruments that needs to be used for the implementation thereof, so that we are clear whether we can, how do we make cabinets to account, for instance, if we did not do that? Can we call cabinet as this committee? If the recommendation came from us, will we be able to do that? I think we won't. So let's look at the instrument that will empower us. And what the basic instrument that empowers you becomes the law itself, because we are the lawmakers. We can be able to see whether the law has been implemented or not. So the law will be the best solution to the impasse that we want to deal with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Tobias. The two of you are not contradicting each other, so I will take that. I think you're putting more emphasis on the fact that the department came to us and said we don't have teeth, and we are then saying that legislation will give you teeth. But we are all. I think the other point is calling more for leadership of the cabinet to say you have got to act in a particular way beyond legislation. But I think the 2 points reinforce each other, if I may say so. If you are agreeing onto that, may we proceed to the next point? Thank you. That will be
10.5,
10.5, Mr. Mwepe.
And Honorable
Mekbu. The point, do you want to comment on this? I think this is to do more with the timelines that Honorable Mekbu was looking for.
Yes. Yeah, Chair, if I may conclude on this, since we've been with the department to the other committee, from the other committee, yes, this bill, it has been hanging, I think, since the beginning of, or even from the fifth parliament. But we were given reasons that the department is still, because as we know that there was a piloting of the district development model. So they were still trying to conclude that process of the district development model, because it has been piloted, the model has been piloted into 3 districts. So the minute when they are done with the piloting of the district development model, that's when then they will come and update the committee in terms of whether is it working. Because if you look at the district development, it's about the 3 spheres of government planning together, having one plan and whatever. So putting time frame, Chair, for now, even if we can say they must bring this legislation before the end of this 6th administration, it might not be possible. But I think the spirit of the recommendation is just to say we are putting more focus on and we want the department to bring this legislation to Parliament. So it might either be in the 7th Parliament, but currently with the 6th Parliament, I doubt, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable members, if the DPME will be able to meet the target. Let's say maybe we are saying next year, April, they must bring this. Even if they bring it in Parliament, we have heard what the Speaker said, that any legislation that will come after whatever time Parliament is not going to process it. So I would rather, as honorable members, through you, Chairperson, that the time frame we can maybe when we in the 7th administration, because currently, as far as I know, this bill they are still waiting for the conclusion of the pilot on the district development model. Thanks, Chairperson.
No, thanks. 2 things. Firstly, the timelines for bills has passed, so it's not going to happen in the 6th Parliament. I think we should be in a position to say, as a top priority, we want this bill to be our priority in the 7th Parliament. The executive has not even tabled this in cabinet for cabinet to approve towards Parliament, and so without giving specific months, I think we should be saying that the 7th Parliament must receive the bill, and this committee would have to prioritize the work in that regard. Otherwise, if we can't just leave it open-ended, it could even, if this was done in the 5th Parliament, so it could even go to the 8th Parliament. So there's got to be some sense of urgency. If we had time now, would call for that, but we no longer have time in the 6th Parliament. All bills that are now being attended, there's been a deadline and that date has passed. You're not going to get a new bill that will still go to Parliament, because remember, if a bill comes to us, if a bill comes to Parliament, there's got to be public hearings and so on. We don't have that time. End of March is going to be our last date, and then we go for elections. Maybe that's how we need to put it. Thank you. Then to conclude the DPME, may I therefore ask, maybe before that, I see the hand, Honorable Mani.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you for indulging me. A quick one, Chair. I think, Chair. Look, the AG had made a dashboard. I don't know how that is covered, and I think this is where perhaps we sometimes miss each other with the semantics or detail. The AG gave a dashboard as an example, and I don't see that dashboard being reflected here. In that dashboard, it was a one slide where it was a robot indicator, green, orange, and red. And in those robots, the AG was basically saying there was no green. And I made this point even in that discussion. There was no green in the entire portfolio. So in the overall summary of this portfolio, where do we cover that? And this is where maybe the disconnect comes, that people become defensive. Yet you have a red, green, and amber situation. Now, people, when you say it's not done, it means there's no green. But people tend to take a lot of the oranges and so on, or ambers, and say, but I've done this, but I've done this. How can I say it's not done? It's progress towards it. But if there's no green, it's actually not done. That is the standard that the AG is using. So I just thought, let's just make sure that we when we talk about these things, we are similarly aligned. And then, Chair, I was going to ask you, Chair, and I think you've been doing a great job in making sure that this meeting has got the right decorum and all of that. But I think at some point, some members throw snide comments. I think, please, Chair, be wary of that. I mean, if you have a comment, for instance, from Honorable Pires going to be saying people that are from municipalities and this is national and all of that, that condescending kind of commentary, I don't think is warranted, Chair. I don't think we should have that, because otherwise this meeting is going to be very combative if that's the kind of thing that are going to be done here. And then lastly, Chair, I wanted to just give an example of the issue around cabinet as an enforcer. As an example, Chair, you have a position called the Deputy President of the country, who is a leader of government business in Parliament. So when the executive fails to answer questions of members of Parliament, we escalate to the Deputy President, who is a leader of government business. Now, what tends to happen then in the cabinet meeting, the Deputy President tables the report of Parliament and says, Minister so-and-so, your question has been standing for 35 days or whatever number of days, please do something. And then you have a cabinet resolution on those matters to say ministers must respond to questions. Therefore, it's a cabinet resolution. So that puts weight and forces the minister to do something. I'm just saying, so that's how cabinet plays its role as an enforcer. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mani. Honorable Tobias. Honorable Tobias, can you hear me? You are muted. Okay, I think I don't see her now. Might have lost her. All right. Thank you. Maybe then, thanks for those comments, Honorable Mani. You're correct in relation, especially with the leader of government business as an instrument that we also Parliament utilizes. And there should be no problem in us even utilizing that as well. But I had indicated in terms of that both matters reinforce each other than being a either or kind of situation.
Did you note me?
Yes, and I had
I lose
called.
network. I'm not sure.
Yes, and
Yeah, I was searching for
I did
network.
note you. Please come in.
Yeah, sure, a quick one. I won't waste your time really. I totally agree with Honorable. Here we're going to deal with issues that's going to bring remedies to the organization that is government. But equally, some we have words like people are being emotional, and then you can have as many responses as possible. I don't think that's where we want to go. Here we want to deal with effects that will help us to take this government forward. Indeed, the AG had a dashboard, but here it becomes a complex matter of an issue. It's not about any other strategy that must be achieved in a particular fiscal year through the APPs, which is one fiscal year. It's a long-term issue. Therefore, you can't say what should be at least reported by
Just move
you
around.
can't say it's not achieved at all when a robot, Honorable Mani. So it's agree about what needs to be done. Yeah, Chair, this house, you don't know. This house, I don't know.
Just move around in that house.
I'm moving around like nobody's business. I'm even going outside now.
Stop right there.
I'm even
Stop right
outside.
there. Stop right
Okay,
there.
let me stop. Okay, here you can hear me. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you captured the spirit. The spirit
Yes.
was that we are one in terms of how we understand issues of oversight and accountability.
Yes.
But also sometimes we call it upon ourselves the things we say. You see, I don't think Honorable Piri wanted to be condescending unless if Honorable Mani was calling us emotional. He said we're emotional. And we're just being emphatic on issues. We're challenging a view. The intention was to challenge the view and engage the view. So had we just agreed in principle that for now, in terms of the NDP, we understand that there's partial achievement. Whether you want to put it in the robot sense, orange, amber, or green, it's another issue for another day, because we don't formulate that template. That's the AG's template. And the understanding and the acceptance of that template is also another debate for another day. So I don't know if I make sense to him, Chair. I'm appealing to him now. I'm talking to him directly on this one. But let me pause there, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Tobias. I appreciate the discussion and the robustness. I am equal to the task as a chair to bring it all together without minimizing or stifling any of you as members. It's really my duty to do that, but it's appreciated. It's going to help in the long run to have a very rigorous and vibrant committee, as long as issues are taken out of the personal realm. That's all I'm going to be watching. Thank you, members. Can I then ask you, members, on the DPME, with the amendments that we have suggested, do I have a mover for adoption of that DPME report?
Chair, so move.
Key indicators under this particular 5 of the 7.
Any seconder?
Chairperson, I'll second.
Honorable Pillay, second. Honorable The report duly adopted. Is there any objection, Honorable Manu?
It's not an objection, Chair. I wanted to propose that. As we adopt this report, take into account and factor in something that was discussed, to say the issue of monitoring and evaluating the departments has got to be reflected. This is the work of the department for the year. So the department must give a sense of, so we should say in future, the annual report of this department must include the findings or something to that effect. Otherwise, look, Chairperson, we have two things. We have the internal operations of the department, which they focused on, but we have the core mandate of the department, which is to monitor the other departments. I think in the last discussion, Chair, you summarized this very well.
Yes. No.
I'm saying
that's in order. I'm sure there's no strings mentioned as including that, because that's our core mandate, actually. So I have no problem with that. Mr. Wepe, can we go with that as an additional net point?
Chairperson, yes, we can go with that, but I just want, I didn't capture it very well. Is on the recommendation for the DPME. Hello, Chair.
Yes, Mr. Wepe?
Yes, what Honorable Mani is raising is a new recommendation for the DPME.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I would like the Honorable Mani can just repeat, because I've tried to capture it, but
Okay, can I ask him to formulate that, and we'll come back to it before we close on these three reports?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, I might not have the actual proper wording, but I'll give you the sense.
No
the
problem.
sense here, sense here, Mr. Mwepe, is that the good work that you do to cross-check departments, let's say they submit all these reports, then you go and check whether they've given you the truth, you verify and all of that, you make recommendations and all of that. So some dashboard of sorts, I think maybe that's the word, that the annual report of the DPME must include a dashboard that reflects performance or on those
across
departments.
government.
Yes, across government. Yes, that's actually the issue here, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Agreed. Thank you. Can we proceed to the next report, Mr. Mwepe? I think that is Brand SA.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. With regard to Brand SA, these are the observation and findings that members put forward during the presentation. 9.13, the committee commends Brand SA for achieving clean audits despite all forms of challenges hindering the institution. 9.14, the committee takes note that the minister in the presidency has recommended names to the board of Brand SA pending the Master of High Court, and the committee will keep track of the development as the board is urgently needed in Brand SA. 9.15, moratorium of post in Brand SA has a major impact on the performance of the institution due to the envisaged reconfiguration between Brand SA and Tourism South Africa. 9.6, Brand SA organizational structure was lastly reviewed in 2014, which remains a concern to the committee. And 9.17, the committee is concerned that there is no impactful correlation between the world negative perception of South Africa and the campaigns to correct such perceptions. And 9.18, the committee knows developments regarding long-term suspension of the Chief Financial Officer, CFO, In May 2023, both Brand SA and suspended CFO agreed to part ways after the Labour Court decided to reinstate the officer. A separation package was approved and paid by the acting Chief Executive Officer. I will go to the recommendations, Chairperson. 10.10. The Minister in the Presidency should expedite the finalization of the proposed merger of Brand SA and Tourism SA in order to eliminate the instability caused in the institution, particularly on the staff morale and resultant resignations. 10.11. The Minister for the DPME should ensure stability in the Board of Trustees. I think it should be, sorry for this one, it should be the Minister in the Presidency. The President. The Minister in the Presidency should ensure stability in the Board of Trustees by appointing the board timelessly since the current board's term of office had ended. 10.12. Brand South Africa should review organizational structure once the Board of Trustees are appointed or reappointed, which was lastly reviewed in 2014. And 10.13, Brand South SA should be allowed to fill critical positions on a 5-year long-term contract rather than 24 months in order to ensure stability and accelerate performance of the organization. 10.14, Brand South Africa should ensure that its programs or interventions of branding and marketing provide positive impact in strengthening the country's economy and attracting more investors. And 10.15, the Board of Trustees of Brand SA, newly to be appointed, should investigate a separation package of 7.4 million approved and paid by the acting CEO to the former Chief Financial Officer to determine whether due diligence were followed. And the Board of Trustees should report the outcome of the investigation by March 2024. That's it, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Mwepe. Then we just go back to where the report starts, and then I'm asking members to make their comments. Honorable Pillay, followed by Honorable Tobias and Honorable Piri.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Chair, for me, this report is fairly straightforward, and I think that we could take it as a complete report, not item by item. I don't think there's any corrections on my side. I actually wanted to move for us adopting it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. I'll come back to you. There's a move for adoption, but let me just hear other members. Honorable Tobias.
Honorable Chair, I think first I declared that I'm a conflicted party because I was the chair of the board of Brand South Africa during the presentation of their report. But I wanted to align myself with what Honorable Maglua was suggesting as a recommendation that empowers Brand South Africa to do a particular work. Perhaps if you looked at the report, it showed you that there were challenges that made it to be where it is and it not being able to fulfill certain work. Yes. And once the board is in place and vacancies are being filled, it will be able to do work. So even the signing off on their proposals was a difficult issue. So we're not reopening discussions. He was raising a very important point that the visibility of Brand South Africa, especially on sporting matters, must be empowered. I want to align myself to that part. That maybe if we take it as a recommendation, it can be taken into consideration, that side, because there was a role that Brand South Africa used to play in sports and culture before, an issue that has not find space later So he is raising that, and it's an important issue that links Brand South Africa with departments of sports, arts, and culture. So I wanted to support on that one. Thanks, Chair. But I also agree that, well, maybe I'm not the one who must say this report must be
You are
accepted.
not the one. Thank you for the
thanks.
Thank you. Honorable Glue's point is made earlier. Honorable Tobias is supporting that. We'll hear again emphasis from Honorable McGlue so that Mr. Ngwepe can put, because we want to make those as our recommendations. Let me go to Honorable Piri and then Honorable McGlue thereafter.
Thanks, Chair. I want to make 3 additions, but if because I'm not good in following their point form. One, Chair, I'll still make the same recommendation as I did with the department in terms of the increase of funding for the entity. We need more money. For Brand SA to operate, it needs money. So my recommendation is that the National Treasury should increase funding for the entity. Chair, also the Brand SA should develop a performance indicator targeting the number of a creative sector and business collaborations with a target monetary value. I don't know whether must I repeat, because I see he's doing it. It says Brand SA should develop a performance indicator targeting the number of creative sector and business collaborations with a target monetary value. The last one.
Just that one. Should develop performance indicator.
Should develop a performance indicator targeting the number of creative sector and business collaborations with the target monetary value.
Collaboration
with a target monetary value. Lastly, Chair, you know, when they present to us, our pride, they fly high, our flag in other countries. So, Chair, my recommendation is that Brand SA should develop a strategy and a plan to partner with all departments of international relations and cooperation embassies. We need to have a partnership with the Department of International Relations and Cooperation embassies, you know, in all the countries that we have a relationship with. Let's have a partnership so that we are visible and we do our work very well in flying and obtaining the sovereignty of our country. Chair, let me land there. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Honorable McGlue.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think Honorable Tobias is correct. I think the biggest problem was the availability of funds to do correct planning. The visibility is there in terms of, you know, ensuring that they are there where art and culture and sport is. But I think the shining absence of Brand South Africa, also in planning with the Rugby World Cup, may has resulted as financial challenges that they have. I think that should be a point in 10.15 that there must be monies made available with particular reference when it comes to national events, and in the absence of these, there is just no way that they will be able to do what is best for this country in terms of branding. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable McGlew, as you clear?
Yes, sorry. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, bye, Danki. Honorable Manyi.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. No, I was not going to raise this point. I was hoping that Mr. McGlew was going to follow up on this point because he had raised the matter in the previous discussion. Do we not want to say something about this merger that was proposed and so on? I don't know what needs to be said, but I think there was a thoroughgoing discussion on that. So I think there has to be a recommendation that talks to merger. Maybe Mr. McGlew can lead us on that one. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Manyi, are you done? Honorable McGlew?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you to Honorable Mane for raising that point. I think it's also important for us to make one of these recommendations that there should be also clarity. We have been promised, it's almost for the third year, and Honorable Tobias can confirm this, that there is an endless struggling to have a particular outcome. I'm not too sure what are the real problems between the two departments, or rather the management of these departments, but we have been sent from pillar to post on this particular merger that has also very stressful on towards staff members. People are unsure. We are also leaving people in the organization, and I think as a point, we should raise this to have a clear cut and blunt direction on what is the way forward between Brand South Africa and tourism, and same to say that on the side of tourism, they are also experience all of these as far as this merger is concerned. This really have to come to an end so that Brand South Africa can work without any interference, without any fear, without any uncertainty pertaining to the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable McGlew, Honorable Piri, and Honorable Tobias.
Thanks, Chair. No, I think on the tail end of Honorable McGlew has covered me partly. Chair, both entities has got their own issues and problems, and imagine when they merge, it's gonna just be a dilemma. So, Chair, I even though I don't have that insightful info about the two as I'm starting to deal with them now, I believe recently, let's say the status quo remains. There is no measure for now. If we've got any additional information that convinces us otherwise to measure, then we'll discuss it further. But currently, let the status quo remains. Brand SA remain Brand SAA, report to presidency, then tourism remain tourism. So that is my take, share on that matter. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Tobias.
Chair, do you hear me, Chair?
I can hear you. Honorable Tobias. You are frozen.
Chair, hello, Chair, do you hear me?
Yes, can
do you hear me
now? Yes.
Yes, Chair. I had to stand outside for you to hear me. I'm saying, we are led here by Comrade Piri here. If you want me to make a comment, we'll have the whole day, because my point has always been Brand South Africa is a unique organization. It needs to be a standalone. I understand the intention of government to merge state-owned entities and enterprises to manage financial challenges we have and to look at duplication and so on. But in this too, there's a different unique responsibility whatsoever, because how they interface and where they do and the scheduling thereof itself is an issue. Therefore, for now, let's agree that Brand South Africa must stay as is. It must be given more funding. Its board must be paid accordingly. It will be able to fly the flag high. It has been, and Honorable McGlua knows very well what happened and the challenges that are. The only thing is that we need to come to a point where we accept that Brand South Africa can't merge with Tourism South Africa. Until that is, because even the technical committee has never been established, the terms of reference were not there, therefore it has never even started to move towards a direction thereof. So for now, Brand South Africa, you can see the performance. It will be like I'm blowing my own trumpet. You can see its performance. You can look at how it achieved its targets. It was achieving 100% targets, blah, blah, blah. Now it will be like I'm talking about myself. I don't want to go there. But I think we must stay as we are. They must stay as they are and be able to be empowered to do work and be recognized to do what they are established to do. Because sometimes there are those who were stealing their thunder and making it look like Brand South Africa does not work. It's got excellent people. Some of them has left. It's got research capacity. It can do the work if it's empowered to do the work. Chair, let me stop there.
Thank you, Honorable Tobias. Honorable Manyi, and your last hand.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. I think let's be clear, what is it that we're doing here today, Chair? And what we are not doing is to evaluate the merits or demerits of the measure. That's not what is the brief for today.
Yes.
This committee is reflecting on the work reported by the department. It's a department that has told us that there is that discussion going on, and we're following up on that to say where is that implementation and all of that. Now, if the executive has come to a similar conclusion as Honorable Tobias is intimating and Honorable Piri is saying, that's what must come from the department. It can be us directing it from where we are as Parliament. So I want to say, Chair, we are now constrained by the fact that we're just dealing with the report of the department, and we are saying if Minister says this is what they're doing, let them do it. If the Minister has come to a different conclusion or determination, that's what must be. But right now, as this committee, what I think 10.13 is reflecting there is correct. Is it 10.13 now? It has moved. There was a point there I saw Mr. Ngwepe had covered this thing very well in the summary there. If you could just go back to that point quickly, Mr. Ngwepe. With the first point there, that the Minister and the President should expedite the finalization of the proposed measure. That's what was promised. So the Minister must deliver on that promise or remove the promise. It's really that, but we can't be sitting here and make a concrete pronouncement that it should not happen. It's not up to us to say that. It's not like if we're dealing with that discussion about the merits and demerits, then we can entertain that. But we're not here dealing with the merits or demerits, dealing with the report of the DME. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Manyi. I see Honorable Tobias, you back again. Last opportunity.
Yes, no, I wanted to accede that this time he caught me, you see. And I'm going to remind him that when he starts the fight, he must always remember we'll come back. He said, I'm intimating. You see, he is the one who uses words that when they respond to him, and then he forgot that he started the fight. No, he got me here. He's right. We should not even be debating this. I did indicate I'm conflicted. You can't bring in somebody who's conflicted. And I was struck by Honorable Madlua to show how much I love South Africa. You see, and then I found myself in this space. But he's correct, Chair. Thank you very much. But the words he used is what makes us to come for him. He must remember that part. Thanks, Chair.
I don't want anybody to come for anybody in this meeting. Thank you. I think the key issue, in line with the issues Honorable Manyi is raising, for us, our task, because we have not even had a presentation to us about the issue of the measure. But besides that, as a portfolio committee, ours is a focus is following the money and checking the impact of the work that must be done, and so sometimes we would not be interested in a matter of location. So whether Brand SA was in a drain or on top of the mountain, we would be interested about its performance, what it delivers in terms of the mandate and how it is helping the country. Maybe it is proper that we pause on the discussion, don't get into a discussion of the measure at this stage until the matter is brought in front of this committee. So thank you for that. Did you get all of the comments and recommendations, Mr. Mwepe? If there's anything that's not clear to you?
Yeah, I think, Chair, we have got everything together with my colleagues, so we can.
May I then put to you, colleagues, do I have any mover for adoption of with all the amendments made of the report of Brand SA?
Sorry, Chair, to just barge in without raising a hand.
No problem.
Honorable P, remove for the adoption with amendments.
Thank you. Any seconder? Honorable Yabo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I second the adoption as moved by Honorable Member Paul Perry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any objection?
Chair, on a lighter note, are we sure that Honorable Tobias is not conflicted here now?
She did.
Chair, I can't hear him. I can't hear you. What is he saying?
No. Don't be out of order, Honorable Tobias. No, she did make a disclaimer, so we have noted that disclaimer. She was contributing in terms of the way forward and recommendations, not on the performance of Brand SA, because that's where she's conflicted. She's no longer part of Brand SA. That's why she's in a position to comment and make contributions about how Brand SA going forward must do. But she would not be in a position to defend the annual report that she was partly on. I hope that clarifies it, Honorable Neglu.
Thank you, Chair. It's a lighter note.
I know.
He's starting a fight, Chair. He's starting a fight.
Honorable Yabo, is that an old hand? Honorable Yabo, is that an old hand? Okay. May we proceed therefore to the last report on the annual report, Mr. Mwepe?
Chair, you forgot to call for a person who have a contrary view. Hey, you might be sent to court.
I did, and there was just a lighter note. Don't worry, I did.
Okay, Chairperson, like I did with the first one, I'll just move with speed in terms of pages. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, Page 10, page 11, page 12, page 13, page 14, yeah, thanks, Chair, again, honorable members. Now the focus is on the Stats SA, the observations and the key findings. The Portfolio Committee made the following observations with regard to the annual reports of the Stats SA. The committee knows that Statistics South Africa received unqualified audit opinion with materials the 2022-2023 financial year, and Stats SA achieved 93.6% of its targets as set out in the annual performance plan of the 2022-2023 financial year, and only 6.4% of the targets were not achieved. And the committee knows the department for achieving set targets under difficult conditions regarding scarce resources. 9.2, the committee further knows that the department overspent the budget allocated of 2.9 billion with the actual expenditure of 3.7 billion due to the rollover of the budget earmarked for census 2022. The rollover was for census post-enumeration survey. 9.3, the committee knows with concern the vacancy rate of 19.4%, which was above the acceptable norm in the public service. And 9.4, the committee is concerned that the employment equity targets were not met, especially concerning women at SMS and people with disabilities. 9.5, the committee commends the SA for initiating a campaign called Pull Her Up as a means of accelerating interventions to empower women to assume leadership role in the department. And the committee will oversee the campaign in changing the dynamics of non-attainment of women targets in senior management services of the department. 9.6, that SA committed to work with the disability groups, academics, and disability interest organization in order to attract people with disability to be employed in the department. 9.7, during the year under review, Stats SA focused on finalizing processes in submitting the statistic amendment bill to Cabinet. And in October 2022, Cabinet approved statistics amendment bill for tabling in Parliament as it was certified by the Office of the Chief State Law Advisors. And there were delays in tabling the amendment bill in Parliament. However, the committee was informed that the bill was gazetted on the 6th of October 2023, and the bill will formally be ATC'd in Parliament and officially be referred to the committee before the end of October 2023. 9.8, in the past reporting years, Stats SA notified Parliament that Census 2021 was hampered by the COVID-19 pandemic, lockdown restriction, KwaZulu-Natal province floods, as well as the November 2021 local government. And Stats SA had no option but to postpone Census 2021 to February 2022 and renamed it Census 2022. And the irregular expenditure was as a result of Census 2022 and post-enumeration survey 2023, which were mainly caused by numerous incidents impacting on the financial management of the department. Therefore, over-expenditure is noted with some grace and understanding. 9.9, the committee knows that in the history of the census year under democratic government, Stats SA had for the first time obtained unqualified audit opinion with material findings, which is an achievement as compared to the previous censuses. 9.10, Stats SA is commended for delivering first digital census in the country and the first to use multiple modes of data collection, where households were given the option to complete questionnaires with the assistance of field workers, either face-to-face or telephonically or by themselves via the web. Multiple platforms were introduced as a strategy to proactively respond to COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown, which continue to disrupt business operations. 9.11, the committee notes and welcomes the release of Census 22 report by the Statistician General, which was timeless and will assist the country planning as well as budget allocation across all spheres of government. And the committee further notes the positive impact of digital transformation data collection, which had reduced cost and improves the turnaround time of the production of the results. 9.12, the committee knows that the National Treasury commissioned a study to review census spending efficiency in a physical constrained environment. Review of census spending efficiently will assist fiscal rigor and more efficient allocation of expenditure. As per the National Treasury framework, the main targets of the spending reviews will be reallocation of spending to match current government priorities and medium to long-term improvements in spending efficiency, minimizing the impact of spending reduction on service delivery while rapidly reducing the budget deficit and elimination of programs that are no longer serving their intended purposes. With regard to 9.13, the committee notes with concern all the root causes contributed to significant findings for the 2022-2023 financial year. And 9.14, the committee notes with concern a lack of consequence management regarding non-compliance with the PFMA. I will move to the recommendation, Chairperson. The Portfolio Committee recommends that Stats SA should compile census activities reports to document lesson learned during its major project to avoid recurrence of costly mistakes. And the department should be able to identify statistical loopholes in terms of legislation to minimize occurrence of negative incidents encountered during Census 2022. Vacancy rate of 19.4% should be drastically reduced by undertaking a recruitment drive to strengthen departmental workforce in order to continue producing quality, reliable, and timeless statistics for the nation and the international world. 10.3, Stats SA should, through additional budget allocation and compensation of employee budget, prioritize balancing its employment equity targets by ensuring women are appointed in senior management, including 2% of people with disabilities and youth. And then 10.4, Stats SA should promptly investigate all instances of irregular expenditure and ensure that the recommendations from the investigations are actioned. 10.5, Stats SA should develop and implement an action plan in order to ensure that the deficiency identified in the 2022-2023 financial year are addressed. 10.6, the department should devise a consequence management strategy regarding internal controls and financial management. And this strategy must be notified to the staff complement for institutionalization. I thank you, Chairperson and honorable members.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ngwebe. We're going to focus at the end on the recommendations, but are there any comments on the body of the report or questions? Otherwise, I want you to put the recommendations in front. Honorable Yabo, followed by Honorable Belay. Honorable Manyi to be the number 3. Honorable Yabo.
I think it's a legacy hand in that chair.
Okay. Honorable Belay.
Chair, thank you very much. Chair, mine is just to find out the first 3 sections. I think it's maybe up to 3 or after that. Is almost like a copy and paste of the DPME report. I just wanted to find out if that's an error or is it proper? Thank you.
Which one, Honorable Pillay?
From section 1 right to 3, if you go right up, the very first part of the report.
Okay.
Yeah, all of this, from your introduction right to section 3, you will find is exactly the same as DPME report.
Okay, through your chairperson, I'm not sure because this I thought maybe you'll be talking about section where I know is a reflection of the what is contained in the annual report of the DPME should be coming from number 4 up until yeah, okay. Okay, no, it's the same. Okay, no, it's the same. It's the same because of it's just an introductory part of the committee, but not specifically for I mean, not specifically for. Actually, both reports on the introduction is more or less the same from 1 up until yeah, up until 3.4. Then from there, then we talk about the statistics South Africa, but they are more or less the same. But if you check Honorable Pillay, let me say, yeah. Here we're talking about the committee itself. And then if you check here on this report, the annual report of the Statistics South Africa, I'm just giving you an example, just showing. And then on this part again, what we have amended is the part on the statistics and when did they appear before the committee is more or less the same. We're talking about the money bills amendment, procedure related act is more or less the same, the introduction. And then here is just the process with regard to the ERR as outlined by committee section in Parliament, and then yeah, and then from there, but they are more or less the same. They are more or less the same.
Okay, you covered Honorable Pillay. You happy?
Yeah, I just wanted to note that, yeah, there's no problem. I just wanted to see if it is linked to the monies bill and it is correct, then I have no issues. And then just to add that Stats SA should review its institutional delivery structure to adapt to digitization and reduced funding capacity.
Okay, thank you.
You want me to repeat that?
Yeah, please.
You're a bit fast, I can imagine, for Mr. Mwebe.
Apologies, Chair. Stats SA should review its institutional delivery structure.
Actually, I would prefer to do them well. Yes, they should review
its institutional delivery structure to adapt to digitization and reduced funding capacity. Reduced with a D. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. Got that, Mr. Mwepe. Thank you, Honorable Manyi.
Thank you, Chair. Can we go back to request? I request to go back to 9.4. My point is there. 9.4, yeah. Okay. No. Is this the right 9.4 now?
Yeah, this is that. I've never changed the. We have never changed the.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. Maybe then on this 9.4, Chair, the discussion that I'm not seeing, or observation that I'm not seeing, is one that speaks to the targets. You know how the department reports. The department here reports in a manner that is not actually useful. in terms of how to measure the implementation of their own employment equity plan. And the department had actually gave an impression that the detail, when we raised this matter, I think on the 13th of October, they had said something to the effect that this is covered in the actual annual report. And I went through the annual report. This is not covered. And I don't want to raise any issues about misrepresentation or anything. I just think it's just an honest mistake. We'll move on quickly past that. But the point really is that, having said that, can we therefore, in either observation or recommendation, make it clear that what should happen is that the department should reflect its progress on employment equity against targets. There's as Chair, you would know, there's two types of targets. There's first the normal employment equity, EAP targets.
Okay, don't go fast. I think you are making
all right.
you are contributing to a recommendation so that Mr. Mwebe can work with you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. The department should reflect the achievement of employment equity target against the commitments on its own employment equity plan.
Its own employment
equity plan. Okay. Yeah, or its own targets is reflected on employment equity plan. You know, yeah.
Thank you.
And then, sorry, Chair, I'm just waiting for him because I can see he's still busy there. And then just one last sentence, just to say, NB, this must be by level. Because what tends to happen then, Chair, then people just give you a global amount. And now the misleading thing about the global amount is that what then departments tend to do, I saw the same thing on a different committee with SARS. What they then do, they actually, whether this is designed, I don't know. What then happens is that if you want to improve your employment equity figures, you just employ a lot of junior Africans at the bottom. And then you compute and you say, our transformation is going very well. We are now 85%.
And yet that is entry level.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the mischief that must be cured. Yeah. So okay. So that's covered there. And then, Chair, on the discussion on the status A again, on the 10-year thing that they were proposing, how it's captured in the minutes. I know we're not dealing with the minutes, and that's why actually I'd wanted us to start with the minutes so that we can clear the facts. Where we discuss it in the minutes, for instance, is reflected how it's covered now in this BRR, in that in the minute itself, it's left hanging. It's just some discussion. There's no clear direction what we're saying. Now, I'm not clear in this BRR what is it that we're saying. We know that the SG would have wanted a 10-year thing and a 10-year cycle, as it were. And I know that we had a thorough discussion about this. And my sentiment is that it was noted what the SG was saying, but I think there was enough input given there to show a lot of anxiety around this. So I'm suggesting that I think the point that should come through is the issue of having noted that, and the committee can guide your Chair, but my recommendation is that if I was to summarize the sentiments of the committee here, that we note what the SG has said, but I think the committee is feeling strongly that to get stats figures that are 10-year-old would just create a havoc in terms of planning. So maybe then, because the main issue that the department was raising was the issue of budget, that they're trying to be cost efficient and all of this and all of that. I think we should find a way of dealing with that without compromising on the frequency of this survey. So I'm just saying, I don't think an impression must be created, Chair, that we accepted that 10-year cycles is the thing. That's really the essence of the point. Can you find a formulation that is going to talk to that?
Maybe
and
before,
then,
maybe
yeah.
before you find the formulation, that 5 or 10-year thing, it's in the bill that we're going to discuss and decide on as a committee. There's an advert that will go out, then we're going to have public participation when it comes back for our own deliberations, because you're going to have it discussed and decided when we adopt the bill. Besides it just being a recommendation on an annual report, the key part of that is the bill that is still going to come in front of us after public hearing. Can't you park that until then?
Okay. All right, Chair. I take the guidance. No issue there. One last point then, Chair. There was an important issue here. I think if you go to 9.8, that was talking to the issue of irregular expenditure and all of that. There was a point made by the Auditor General, which I think would be amiss if we don't reflect on it on this report. The issue of a figure, I think it was 253 million, that the AG was saying that amount of money was spent, tender was awarded without following due process. And that discomfort of the AG is not reflected anywhere here. So I was going to suggest that we need to find a way of capturing that, because it's quite a serious thing. And I think the issue about the grace and understanding in terms of the spending post enumeration survey, what have you, that, yes, I think that is a very elegant way of capturing that issue. But the issue of not following the laws, the prescripts, I think it's a serious issue that we've just completely missed it here. So I'm just proposing that we need to find a formulation that will show the discomfort of the committee in terms of the 253 million that was mentioned by the AG that was spent here. Contract was awarded without following process. There has to be something that is said in this report. I'll leave the formulation to you, Chair, and maybe Mr. Webb. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manyi. I'll come back to you, Mr. Webb, with your take and comments and how you phrase it. Honorable Tobias.
Chair, do you copy me? Chair, can you hear me?
Yes.
On the recommendation made by Honorable Pillay, just on the formulation of funding, can we strengthen it by saying that National Treasury must allocate more funding to Stats SA? Because we can have all these beautiful recommendations in terms of digitization or whatsoever. The question and the gist has always been Stats SA has never been prioritized in terms of getting an increment. Therefore, perhaps if we strengthen this recommendation to say they must get more allocation, it will assist them to be able to enumerate properly and do what they are meant to do in terms of census and otherwise. So, and see whether that can be implemented going forward. We'll see it in the next budget, in the next budgeting cycle, whether that recommendation has been taken on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Tobias, for that contribution. Makes sense. Before I go to Mr. Mwepe, is that a legacy and Honorable Manyi? Thank you.
Sorry, Chair. Yes, it was.
Okay, Mr. Mwepe, your comments on what the members have just put forward.
No, thanks, Chair. I think the only part that is missing in the report which we can work it out, because I was trying to get the AG's report so that we can look at that part. But we can do it outside the meeting, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. The one, yes, or what Honorable Mike raising around 2.5 5 million, that was that the tender that was awarded without following a due process. It has to be reflected in the report. That we can do it outside the meeting, Honorable Chair. I need to get the right quoting from the AG and then be able to, that we can be able to rephrase it as one of the recommendations. But all what members have raised has been covered, Honorable Chair.
Yes. So the point that Honorable Manu was making is that we need to reflect a serious concern from the committee on that matter. So when you phrase that, Honorable Piri and then Honorable Maglu.
Thanks, Chair. On that note, I just wanted to assist, or let's agree that on 10.3, no, not 10.3, 10.4, that says, that reads as follows: that SA should promptly investigate all instances of irregular expenditure and ensure that recommendations from the investigations are actioned. Maybe on the fact that Honorable Mani is raising, we need not, the statement is broad, we need not to mention specific tender, but maybe to add on it to say, and let there be consequence management after the investigation recommendation. I think it covers that, but maybe we need to emphasize the fact of consequence management. But if you have done a proper investigation with fruitless and wasteful expenditure or irregular, therefore you need to action the recommendation, and the recommendation becomes the consequence management. So it needs not to be discussed next time, but I think it's covered, Chair. That was my point. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Maglu.
Yeah, Chair, my apologies. Can we go back to the issue of more money, the sentences?
Okay. On Honorable Maglu.
Yeah, Chair, I just want to make an input here. And yes, of course, I think the committee will agree that we value the work that Stats SA is doing, and as a matter of fact, it is indeed a viable department. But we are sitting here, and it's not just us. There are a lot of portfolio committees sitting, and a lot of departments would also want money. That's a fact. We have SARS who wants money, with Transnet who wants, and many other departments wants money. But in the midst of government experience the shortfall, and also in revenue, and as far as the economy that is not growing. But I can't, Chairperson, recall. I know there was a problem with money, as been mentioned by the honorable members. But I think for us as a committee, even if it's not now, if Mr. Ngwepe can go back and say, listen, this is for this reason, I think we should specify vis-a-vis their needs to say more money for a particular item, because I don't want to guess the outcome already on monies with all of these restrictions of monies allocated, and all of these restrictions that the Treasury also have. But I think we need to put a qualifier there, and also mention that how this committee value the work of Stats SA, and also we acknowledge and recognize the fact that they are valuable the department. But and also in the light of this economy, we would like that the treasurer consider providing additional funding for a particular item per se. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Maglu. Honorable Mani, is that a new hand?
Yeah, yes, Chair. A quick one,
Okay.
Chair. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, Chair, I think you had covered me very well with the formulation around this 253 million issue was raising. And I think Mr. Ngwepe had covered me very well as well to say he'll go back to the AG's report to look at the formulation so that he can get the wording correct. And then I don't know to what extent will Honorable Piri's input influence that summary, because my understanding of what she's saying is some kind of a woolly, general, non-granular approach and all of that. And I'm nervous about that, Chairperson, because I think 253 million spent without following a procedure is material. So I'm just checking here whether has your formulation been removed, because then I'll have a problem. But if your formulation and what Mr. Ngwepe undertook to do is going to be followed, then I'm covered. So I just need clarity from you, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you. I'll give to Mr. Ngwepe, but I think the issue for the committee is that what was brought to us by the AG would be doing a dereliction of duty if would not reflect and note that not following due process is a problem, regardless of the work you do and the outcome you even if it was disaster. So there has to be proper explanations around those. So we've got to record that that we're concerned about how that happened. The issue of consequent management can still come in addition to that, so that it's not this substituting the other. Mr. Ngwepe, did you get it properly?
Yeah, we got it, Chair. Is the issue of 200 million and more emphasis on the consequence management as well. So if members allow us, I don't know if Mr. Biela, because he's also on the platform, the researcher, if you, because I normally communicate with him via WhatsApp this side. Yeah, so if you want to add on that, but we've got it. I thought we'll work it out of the platform. But if you got it, you can give it to me from the AG's report, because I was trying to. But if we can do it out of the platform, it's also okay. But if you got it now, we can do it now.
Okay, Mr. Biela.
Good day, Chairperson and honorable members. Yeah, we're going to check it out, and I think we do remember that amount from the Auditor General. So we will work it out after the meeting, and then we will copy the members with highlighted print on the issues that have been raised, so that they can track them before we table it or ATC. Thank you, Chair.
It's fine. I'm happy for you to go and look for specifics in the AG's report, but the principal recommendation here that should not depend on that is the fact that we're saying we're recording our concern on how that process was followed. Are we
Yes,
fine?
yeah, that has been taken up, Chair. We will effect it.
Okay.
Yeah, and copy the members.
Thank you. Any other comments before we conclude, members? Do I get a mover for the adoption of the report of Stats SA with the recommended amendments?
I so moved.
I didn't get that because there was a competition
I so move, Chair.
Honorable Pillay moves. Is there any seconder? Is there a seconder?
I second, Chair, Honorable Piri.
Honorable Piri seconds. Is there any objection or dissenting view? None. We proceed. Our report is therefore duly adopted with those amendments. Can we get to the next item, which is now the sets of minutes?
Hi, Chuchu. Julius? Julius?
Yes, Mama.
Can you please stop sharing?
Oh, okay.
Chair, can I just say something before we start with the minutes?
Go ahead.
I wanted to just check, Chair, thank you. I wanted to just check the format of the minutes. They are not the same. The other set of minutes is detailed to say this is what happened, etc. But the other is just an executive summary. Let's say, for instance, by way of example, if you look at the minutes of the 13th of October, it's almost like a one-page thing that they came, they went, they came, they spoke, they went. But if you look at the minutes of the 22nd of September, there is a thorough discussion on what happened on that date. Yeah, and all of that. So I want to just check, is there a standard of capturing these minutes or it's pay as you go?
Okay, thank you, Honorable Manyi. Ms. Moy, if you can just, as you go through the minutes, explain that.
Okay, Chairperson.
Yes, Mr. Mwepe?
Yeah, can I just respond to what Honorable...
No problem, go ahead.
Yeah, I think on normal will add if there's anything that I will exclude. Honorable Chair and Honorable members, if you look at I think the 3 sets of minutes, yes, Honorable Manyi is quite correct that the minutes for the 13th is not that detailed.
Yes.
And the minutes for other meetings, they are detailed. It has been a standard without even that on the minutes of the 13th, because of most of the deliberations are then covered in the reports
of the annual report.
Of the biddable, let's say any report that you produced. So then normally because the reports then will then take a precedence, and then the minutes will make reference to the reports that have been tabled before the committee. So if you go to when you go to the report, the report will say the discussion or whatever of this particular meeting are covered in this particular report, so that whoever would want, because I think most of the things have been covered in the reports. So in the minutes, it's just to make a reference to these reports that are tabled before the committee. Thanks, Honorable Chair.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. When you say because of the issue of the annual reports, it's almost like inclusive of them would be what would have taken place in the meeting. Are you covered, Honorable Manyi?
Not quite, Chair, because if what Mr. Mwepe is saying is followed through, then you would say, okay, fine, if you don't find on the one, you'll find on the other. And a case in point, there was a discussion, for instance, where the issue of the EE targets that we had there, that what is it that were not adequately addressed in the presentation. And then an undertaking was made that no, such is actually addressed in the annual report. So if you go to the annual report, it's not there. If you go to the annual presentation, it's not there. If you go to the minutes, that discussion is not covered. So where does that leave me, Chair?
No, I think the general point that you wanted to raise, I think, is taken on board, and Honorable Mr. Mwepe tried to explain. I would want us, therefore, maybe you can do that more specifically when we take each set of minutes and be able to record those issues in the manner that they should be. Honorable Pillay.
Chair, thank you for your guidance. I was actually going to propose that when we come to that set, we could perhaps then ask for deliberations to be recorded, because the reference to the annual report is correct. But if there were deliberations, then perhaps it needs to be captured.
No problem. Thank you. Can we then start with the first set of minutes?
Thank you, Chairperson.
And just as just before you start, I'm going to be a bit more strict here. We're going to do corrections page by page. If you have any corrections you pick up, you will indicate on that page. So now, Ms. Moy, you're going to go through page by page, and then after that, if there are any substantial issues, we'll discuss. Please go ahead. We'll start
thank you,
with
Chair.
corrections.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will go page by page, and MPs will add, correct, and comment where is needed. I will therefore effect all the amendments after the meeting.
Okay, go ahead. Page one.
Page one is the attendance. Page two, introduction.
Any corrections? If there are corrections, please indicate or raise your hand, honorable members. Go ahead, Ms. Moy.
Page two, briefing by DPME on the frontline services and monitoring. Page four, continuation of the deliberations. Page five is a briefing by Department of Planning, DPME, on the performance reports of the President hotline. Continuation, page five, continuation and conclusion.
September. Thank you. Thank you. Any comments or is there a mover for adoption? Honorable Pillay.
Chair, I would like to move for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Honorable Pillay moves for the adoption of the minutes. Any seconder?
A second, Chair.
Honorable Thandi Tobias seconds, and therefore minutes duly adopted. There's no dissenting view. I proceed to the next set of minutes. Ms. Moy.
Chairperson, in front of us is the minutes of the 22nd of September. First page is the attendance of members. Second page, introduction. Third page, briefing by Status A on the amendment bill. Page four, continuation of the briefing. Conclusion, Chairperson. Those are the minutes of the 22nd of September.
Thank you. That's September 22nd. There are no corrections that have been picked up. Honorable Mani.
And I suppose then this is, sorry, this is the place then I must raise the things that I couldn't raise anywhere else. Yeah, first the issue of the, okay. Yeah, the discussion on the 10-year story. I'm not sure if whether in terms of corrections is something like omission or what. I was saying on the 10-year, 5-year, 10-year story, and I note that you responded to say there is this bill coming up and all of that we're going to be discussing how it's going to be advertised to deal with that. But even in fact, if you look at it, if we think about it, then Chair, it's almost like this advert that is going to happen, in my view, should happen if in the first instance the committee here is covered, that it must be done as it was. So I'm arguing here, Chair, that my reflection or recollection of the conversation around this matter, I'm not aware of any member of this committee that was supportive of this 10-year frequency. So I'm saying, firstly, that discourse is missing in this formulation here. And that missing of it is actually reflected now in the action plan, because now the department has gone ahead to advertise. So when they do their own reporting, they'll say, we've discussed this with Parliament, and the committee was happy that we should go through this process and all of that. And I'm saying, but I'm not sure if the committee was happy in the first place. Or is the department going ahead doing what's doing regardless of what the committee is saying? This is just what they're going to do, and they're just going to do just that. I'm not clear what is happening. If I can just be clarified that the department will just do. That's one thing. Also, I'm saying the summary of the committee, in my view, summary of the sentiment was not favorable for the 10-year story. So those are the two issues there on this one, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other member? Mr. Nwebe?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Chairperson. I just like to remind the committee that if the committee still recall, on this particular day, we were dealing with, we invited Stats SA to brief the committee on the statistics amendment bill. And then during that process, I'll just explain, and on the very same day, then we realized that because that was supposed to be their first, actually it's the first introduction of the bill in the portfolio committee, just to enlighten the committee about what are the provisions that they are going to amend in the bill. And one of the issues what Honorable Mani is raising, and I think the minute is clear that there was this concern around there was consent around the 5-year to 10-year, whatever period, of which for now, like you said, Honorable Chair, that let's wait for the public hearings to unfold. And then after the public hearings, that members, even if we have already raised the matter in that meeting, but then you'll be informed by what people on the ground are saying with regards to the 5 instead of 10 instead of 5 years. Then we'll at that point when we'll be deliberating about this bill, then the members will then raise the very same concern, and then based on what the public participation process has said, because we'll be inviting academia, experts, and whoever who would be interested in that bill, then they will guide members in terms of what are the pros and cons of 10 versus 5 years. So you will get more clarity during the public hearings. So I'll suggest, Chairperson, through you, that let's not dwell much on that matter. Because like this bill is before us, is before members, so you are in charge of the bill. Any amendments, you will effect them after the public consultation. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nwebe. Any other comments on the minutes, members? None. Do I have a mover for the minutes?
Mutapo Chair.
Hello?
Mutapo Chair, unfortunately, the gadget doesn't allow me to raise my hand.
Okay.
I move for adoption of the minutes.
Okay. Honorable Mutapo moves for adoption of the minutes. Do I have any seconder? Do I have any seconder?
I second, Chair. I second.
Honorable Tobias seconds, and therefore minutes duly adopted. Any dissenting view for recording? None. Thank you. We move to the next set of minutes. Or wait, before that, Mr. Manyi?
Yeah, no, Chair, it's not necessarily a dissenting view, and it's not objection to the adoption or anything, but I wanted to propose that the formulation must include just a clear one sentence of sorts that is going to show that the committee was concerned.
Okay.
There's that discussion there is very neutral, doesn't show the sentiment of the committee.
Okay. I hear you. Thank you. Any other comments, members? That being recorded and noted. Thank you. Do we have any other set of minutes, or are all those your 3 sets of minutes, Ms. Moy?
The last one, Chairperson, minutes of the 13th of October.
Thank you. Go ahead.
First page, attendance.
Corrections, if there are any, go ahead.
Introduction, page 3. Continuation, page 5, conclusion. Thank you, Chairperson. Those are the minutes of the 13th of October.
Okay, that's the last set of minutes. Honorable members, may I invite you for any of your comments? If none, any member who moves for the adoption. Honorable Manyi?
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I need guidance. I just want to know where in what we've just gone through now, the issue around Stats SA and the employment equity figures is not reflected. Maybe I just missed the discussion. Maybe we cover it in the discussion that is covered somewhere, because I don't want it to be missed, because we're still expecting Stats SA to deal with that matter somehow. But I'm not seeing it here.
The minutes, okay. All right. Ms. Moy and Mr. Wepe, your response, maybe let me start with Honorable Piri.
No, Chair, mine does not need a response. I wanted Ms. Moy to go back to the first page. Let me double check something. She was a bit faster, and one of my gadgets, it's no longer having a battery because of load shedding, Chair. The first one, in terms of attendance. Okay, no thanks, Chair. I'm covered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wepe?
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. I would like to request through you, Chair, to Honorable Manyi, that we escalate his concern of which not concern per se, but request for additional information on that particular slide that does not have what Honorable is looking for through Stats SA, and then we'll then do that at least by end of business of Monday. Then we'll send the additional information to the Honorable, if he agrees with the approach.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Manyi?
Yeah, no, Chair, except if I hope, firstly, I agree with the approach, but the question is detailed. if it's allowed, then Chair, that I'm not then expected to put it in a letterhead, write to us, all of that, then it's not going to happen because then I don't have the letterhead and all of that. Can the comments be taken directly from this meeting?
Yes,
because I think
it's not going to be done by you, so they'll have to do that on behalf of the committee.
Okay. All right, then, Chair. Yeah, thank you. So I think then that is correct, and then I accept, then, Chair, then that let's follow that route. And if anybody don't waste the meeting's time, if anybody is not clear as to what exactly, we can even do it offline. But I've said it a few times here, but I'm still willing to deal with an official offline to get the exact wording or detail. Thank you.
All right, thank you. In order, Mr. Ngwebe?
Yes, Chair.
All right, thank you. Then proceed. May I then ask if there's any member moving for adoption?
Chair, move for adoption.
Honorable Pillay moves for adoption. Any seconder?
Tapo.
Ms.
Second.
Tapo seconds. Thank you. Minutes therefore duly adopted. Any objection? None. Thank you, Ms. Moy and Mr. Ngwepe. The last item, which is supposed to be very brief.
And the last item, Chairperson, is the advert for the Statistics Amendment Bill. Mr. Ngwepe will talk to it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson, and again, honorable members. Well, it's a short one, but what we just like to say is that this bill has been officially referred to the Portfolio Committee for processing. You can see there's a number there. Before, the bill didn't even have the number. It's B31 of 2023. So we are intending to advertise this as soon as possible after the internal processes have unfolded, like getting quotations for advertising, and we'll be advertising on the national newspapers to request interested people, experts, and academia, and whoever to provide their inputs to this process. And lastly, Chair and honorable members, the program for how we're going to process this bill, you'll definitely get it before the end of this term, or even before we go for an advertising. We'll have to consult first with our principal. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Ngwepe. So just a brief clarity from myself as a chair. I see a date of the 24th of November. So when you say as soon as possible, just want to make sure that we know, do you have any indication as of today by when the advert will go out? And when the advert goes out, how many weeks will the advert be out there so that we know the return date? Because I already see here that you've got the 24th of November, and today is the 20th of October. So maybe just clarify those questions because everything else depends on when the advert starts going out there. Are you still going to have a week or two discussing issues internally before the advert is out?
Chair, if I may say, I think Norma, because I will also add if there's anything omitted. We are intending to advertise next week, Friday, if everything, because we have to get the quotations from different media houses during the course of next week. But we have already started with the process. So, but the intention was to start advertising next week. So if it's next week, then the advert will run for 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Moy, any addition?
Yes. No, Chairperson, I'm covered by Julius. That's the status of the advertising of the bill.
All right. Honorable members, any comments?
No comment, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Mani?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. On what is in front of us, no comment. I think I'm covered by what is being said. But the Chair wanted to just squeeze in something which I think I forgot to mention earlier. My request, Chair, that I think it probably would have been one of the first meetings, most probably the 8th of September, where we had a tussle around what the legislation says versus what departments tend to do. And I want to insist here, Chair, that the issue I was raising there, I think the committee should provide guidance to the department that if, for instance, the formulation of this whole thing about African colored and Indians, if the States SA is unhappy about that, it must not invent its own classification. Maybe some other process they must engage in to amend the law or what have you. But but what should happen going forward? States SA should follow what the law is saying. I don't think that, Chairperson, it would be a good thing that this committee just turns a blind eye on a flouting, because this is a law passed by this parliament. If the parliament decided that there's no such a thing as Black African, we can't have States SA saying there's a Black African. So I'm just asking that I think the committee needs to guide the department so that it's clear that the laws of this country are implemented as they are. And if a person is unhappy, there's a process to amend the law, but you don't do what you think makes sense when the law is there as the arbiter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Manyim. Two things. So in relation to the advert, the committee supports and agrees to the advert and the timeline that has been shared with us as from next week Friday to run for a period of 3 weeks, and then everything then will come back to us. Then the second point, Honorable Manya raises a point that would have been raised when States SA was here around these issues of critical definitions. I think it's an important point that things must be done according to the law of the land. I think we'll still emphasize that point even next Friday when States SA comes in front of us for the census report, because that's still relevant in that regard. Is that okay, honorable members? Honorable Piri?
No, thanks. I'm covered just to agree that the advert must go out. And I heard the responder saying, if it goes well by Friday, we are saying we are agreeing as a committee that it must be by Friday because there's a time frame. So yes, by Friday, we want to see the advert. It must not be if things goes well. What will, maybe they must just give us, if there are possibilities of them not going well, but we want the advert to be out on Friday. That is just an emphasis. We are agreeing with everything. We just want to make sure by Friday, we want to see the advert, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Piri, meaning that next weekend it will be in the weekend newspapers as well. Thank you. Mr. Ngwepe and Ms. Moy, any comment? You got everything?
Yes, Chairperson, I will try by all means to make sure that the adverts go out by Friday next week. And that will also depend on the approval by the House Chairperson, but we'll try and push them to approve the advert and that it will go out before Friday or on Friday next week. We'll try by all means, Chairperson.
That's fine. As a chairperson, I will be having to be online on that to ensure it happens. Thank you, honorable members. That would have been the last item on the agenda of our meeting. The time now is just 5 minutes before 12, almost 3 hours of our meeting. It's been productive with all of those matters that we had to attend to. I therefore think it's proper that I then indicate that that's where we adjourn our meeting today. Thank you very much. We'll meet next Friday when we deal with the presentation on the census. Meeting agenda. Thank you.
Long
Chair.
live the
Long
chair.
live the chair.
Jimmy Manu, we are here.
Thank you,
Long
Chair.
live the chair. Bye, Commissioner.
Recording stopped.